So it's been a pretty busy day then news-wise for Marvel's Avengers. We have the bug that I actually discovered today. I'm pretty certain it is a bug at least that I'm going to discuss in this video. But on top of that as well, we actually got some information on an upcoming patch that's coming out. I think it's possibly just for consoles at the moment, but the PC one will follow very shortly afterwards. And then also we've got something that was discovered on Reddit in regards to the difference or the lack of difference between exotic and legendary items, which is really pretty worrying. But we're actually going to start off with what that actually intended this video to really be about in the first instance, and this is to do with this bug when you're upgrading your gear. So let's check this out first. So the goal I'd set myself today then was to get Captain America's power level as high as I could. Now you can see the items I've got equipped are all roughly around about level 84 or so, if we take an average of them. Now I was running through the snowy tundra and I was finding that even though the power level of the enemies was way higher, and I'll show you what the power level was in a moment, the gear that was actually dropping was way lower than the power level of the enemies in the level, and way lower than my actual average power level as well. This green piece of gear you can actually see is what dropped from the snowy tundra vault, so it is 10 levels lower. And what that actually means, if I want to make any kind of progress gear wise, I had to fully max it out, because that's what I had been doing. I'd been maxing out the power on my gear in a bid to try and work my way through the gear levels nice and quick, but it looks like there's either a mechanic in place to slow you down, which isn't really explained well, and it results in you wasting a lot of your crafting materials, or there is potentially a bug. But let's actually now show you the snowy tundra and what power level it was dropping this level 74 gear. So this is the level I was running here that was given the level 74 gear, so you can see it is challenge free, Snowy Tundra Vault, and it's 94 mission power, so it means that enemies in that level were dropping gear 20 levels lower than their actual level and 10 levels lower than my level as well. Now why was this actually happening? So speaking to some of the guys on Discord today, one of them critics came up with the idea that it looks like when you pick up a piece of gear, and let's say the piece of gear is level 70 and then you upgrade that to level 80, now when you're in a level and the gear check is happening to see what gear should be dropping, it's based on the base stats that you no longer see for your gear piece. So it'll be based on level 70 as opposed to level 80. Now in order to upgrade your gear, it takes a ton of materials. In some instances you're looking at around about 300 of your crafting materials to go up 10 ranks on a piece of gear, and what you're getting as a result of that is actually very little, a very small stat gain, but it's not allowing you to boost your power levels quick. So whether or not it's a bug, whether or not it's a way to actually just ensure that when you gear up it's slow, it's something that I feel that there could be a lot more transparency about, and hopefully we find out what is happening. Now if you do come across this yourself, the way to actually resolve it, if you find that you've power leveled up your gear and all the gear's dropping is way below you, simply just stop upgrading your gear at all, and then over the course of the next few missions you'll pick up gear. It will go up a few levels at a time, run about 3 or 4, and eventually you'll reach that point where you would have been if you were upgrading it. So basically for the time being, just don't upgrade your gear if you're trying to get to 130. It's simply not worth it at all. Really disappointing, and again I hope they will look into it. If you've got any ideas below, if you think it's a bug or it's intended, do let me know. But let's now actually cover the patch notes we had for the upcoming patch. Today then we have patch 1.25 that's coming, but we also have patch 1.30 which is supposedly coming shortly afterwards, and it's going to resolve a lot more of the issues. But we'll quickly run over what this one here we're getting today should be looking to fix. So it says it will resolve a number of playthrough stoppers amongst other fixes. Here's a preview of what to expect. So you've got your infinite loading screens. This will resolve an infrequent bug where players are unable to progress with the campaign due to an infinite loading screen. Now I do believe from reading some more information it will stop people from getting it in the future, but if you are actually getting it on the campaign you need to wait till the patch 1.30 for it to fix it if your save state is already bugged as a result of it. We then have fallen out of the game world when entering the Avengers initiative. So the patch today addresses the majority of instances of partially loaded helicarrier, which results in characters indefinitely falling out of the world when trying to access the Avengers initiative. Rare instances where this could still happen, but the patch ensures that loading back into the main menu and then returning to the Avengers initiative will resolve it. So if you get it, you're not going to be stuck in that state with this patch, but a later patch will look to resolve it altogether. Next up we have unlock campaign outfits reverting to lock states. I've seen a lot of frustration over this. People unlock an awesome looking costume and then they go back in and it's locked. But it says we prevented this from happening in version 1.25, but the patch does not return outfits for those who have already encountered it. So this is a bit like the infinite loading screens, and then it stops it happening in future, but we need to wait till patch 1.30 to actually fix the accounts that have already been impacted by that. Next up, we have unlocked marketplace and challenge card outfits reverted to lock state. So marketplace and challenge card outfits will be restored and no longer become locked on the cosmetics inventory UI. Now, one thing that's not mentioned, and I've had this for the last few days, and when I asked on Twitter, a lot of people were getting it as well. If you're getting it, let me know in the comments below. But I found that your daily faction boss missions, these ones here, they're actually just staying locked, so it means you can't get the polycoron from them from upgrading your major artifacts, and you're not getting the DNA keys either. So that for me is a pretty major bug. Again, let me know if you are actually getting it in the comments below, if it's still working for you. Just to finish up here, the patch after that, I've already mentioned, version 1.30 will be our largest yet and will resolve bad states for bugs fixed in 1.25, as well as address hundreds of smaller quality of life issues. I really do like the sounds of that. Quality of life issues can actually make a big difference in game, but if they are genuinely fixing hundreds of them, that's pretty amazing. Just says they're rigorously testing it at the moment to ensure it's ready, and we'll update as soon as we have a timeline. So it's good to see that happening. It looks like the main patch that will really have a big impact in the game will be 1.30, so fingers crossed it does come sooner rather than later. Now, just to finish up as well, because I mentioned there was quite a lot that came up today that was really pretty interesting, is we got some posts on Reddit in regards to gear and how it's either not working or it's really underwhelming. So let's check that out now. So whilst there is a lot of bugs in the game at the moment, for me the biggest concern I have is over itemization and the end game loot. It just doesn't seem to be exciting at all. Now, we have this screenshot that came up on Reddit. The piece of loot, the legendary one in itself, is actually pretty amazing, and it's probably the best legendary item I have seen, and this is loot done right. You can see that for Black Widow, you get a guaranteed chance of landing crit hits when attacking an enemy from behind while invisible. You get increased damage while invisible, and you get increased duration on it. Now that is amazing, that is game changing, that is one that you can actually build a character around. Vast majority of characters don't have anything even close to this. I've seen what looks to be set pieces for the likes of Captain America that adds cryo damage to his shield. That's not game changing or anything like that, and it doesn't really fit in lore wise either. But the reason I'm bringing up this screenshot is that you can see that there's an exotic piece of gear here. Now, this exotic piece of gear has exactly the same affixes as a legendary item, and it's actually got less stats, so it's worse than the legendary item. Is that a bug like what I was talking earlier on with upgrading the gear? I've no idea if it's intended or if it's actually a bug at the moment, but it's pretty worrying to say the least. Now again, with this, let me know what you think of this. Does this look like it's a bug, or is this how the exotic items are? Personally, I think they should be complete game changers, the exotic items, for how often they drop, which is really not often at all. I'm still waiting on one myself. They really should be build defining. But that's everything we had to cover today. It was actually a fair amount, a lot more than I expected. If you enjoy videos like this where I do a general roundup, do let me know in the comments below. But thanks for tuning in for this. Stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.